So, last week I casted a game on a map called Golden Wall, and yesterday I covered a pro match on a map called Purity and Industry. Now today, we're gonna have a look at the final of the new ladder maps, the final of the three, and it's called Everdream. I know, very beautiful name, right? Everdream Alley. Now let's get started before I show you around by introducing the players. Spawning here, in the top right-hand corner of the map, with the red Terran SCVs for Team Liquid, we're looking inside of the main base of Clem. His opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Zerg drones, playing for Clash, one of the strongest Zerg players in the world, and he goes by the name of Reynor. Alrighty, so both of these guys, ridiculously good pro gamers. They are 17 years old, the both of them, which is just absolutely ridiculous because they're already part of the exclusive 7K MMR club. Now, the 7K MMR club is by no means an official club, but there's no denying that only a handful of pro gamers have actually ever reached that. I mean, I would give you a list, but there is no list. I just googled it. But I know that only a handful of pro gamers have actually reached 7K MMR, and both of these guys have, which is insane because, well, for all intents and purposes, they should still be getting better and better and better, right? Considering they're 17 right now, I wonder what their life will look like a couple years down the line, especially considering Reynor already managed to make it to the grand finals of BlizzCon, right? This man already almost was the world champion of StarCraft 2, which is just insane. Clem, he takes a little bit longer to get at that level, but I think he's pretty much already there though. Like, this guy is improving steadily and very, very consistently, so I think he's gonna have an excellent 2020, but we'll see. Anyways, before we really have this match get underway, let's have a look around Everdream. So this map, it's what I would consider to be like the standard smaller macro map, okay? Let me show you around. So first off, we have the main base right here. Obviously, it's mirrored, so the main base is just as big on the one side as it is on the other side. Basically, the main base, it's just a large main base. Very easy for a Terran and a Protoss player to fit in all of their structures. Obviously, Zerg doesn't really need to worry about that, but the main base, pretty big. Nothing to be concerned about there. Natural, the most interesting feature over here is the fact that there's no ramp leading down from the natural towards, like, the actual, I guess, playing field. This is a standard choke point, so you can wall this off with 3x3 structures. So for Protoss, you can do that with like 3 gateways. For Zerg, you can do it with a couple of Evo chambers, maybe a Roach Warren. And likewise for Terran, you can do so with like, well, most of the time they do it with like 2 supply depots and then the 3rd base. A little bit of a skirmish over here. Looks like, oh my god, all of those Zerglings just barely survive. Then most of the time we see players expanding vertically. So most of the time this is going to be the 3rd base, and from there on out the map really opens up. This is a relatively tight choke. I found as a Zerg player that this is a pretty difficult choke to deal with. You need to get a lot of creep going in this section of the map pretty early on. And from there on out, after taking the 3rd base over here in the vertical position, most players will either go for the one right over here on the low ground with the high yield Vespian gas, or the one right over here that's a little bit more tucked away. I guess we'll have to figure out what the best options are as time goes by. And I guess we'll probably get some more information on that specific expansion layout as we go through this match, as well as we figure out what both of these guys are favoring. But honestly, this is a super normal map. There's no like crazy mechanics, but I think that means that it's really good. I know that's a bit of a weird statement maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be one of those maps that's going to be around for like 3+ seasons. I mean, it seems really good, at least from my limited experience in a couple dozen games that I've played on it so far. It's probably a little bit better for... actually, this is nice. Can I get another tumor? No. It's probably a little bit better for Terran and Protoss players than for Zerg. I mean, honestly, most of the new maps are not that amazing for Zerg in the first place, but I mean, Zerg obviously has been doing ridiculously well. First, Zerg got nerfed with the balance patch, and I guess Zerg effectively now also got nerfed with the new ladder maps, and I think that's fair, right? Zerg has basically won everything over like the last year or two, so I think that's fair. And this new ladder map, or this new ladder season, I guess, it's going to be much better for the Terran and the Protoss players. There was actually a tweet rather, going around of Reynor, from about a week or so ago when he first played on these maps, and he literally tweeted something along the lines of, I have no idea what I need to do against Terran on these new maps. So, I don't really know exactly how he feels about it, but we'll see what ends up going down in this particular match. So far though, very standard start. Getting those tumors going is so critical. You can actually see Reynor now dedicating 3 queens right here to the spreading of that creep. There's a Liberator here in the back, so he's definitely going to need something to deal with those. Means obviously that these queens may very well be pulled away from their creep spreading duty to head on over to the 3rd base instead. As far as the side of Clem goes, it looks like he's just going to go for that super standard bio follow-up. So an infantry-based army. A couple of drones end up getting killed here, but I don't think that this is going to hurt all too much. Honestly, like, this is one of those moves that a weaker Zerg player can just die to. Like, all of these moves can just end the game, right? But most of the time at this level of play, we don't really expect it to do too much. Clem actually decided to dive really deep onto the creep there. A little bit of a gamble, because now that he's lost all of those Hellions, I mean, he's not going to be in that great of a spot, as Zerg can just drone up, right? Immediately, you see the drone button being held down as well. Now, luckily here for Clem, Zerg did not make any spore crawlers. I mean, he made one over here, but none in the natural and none in the main, so that means that he's actually getting a bit of damage done with this Liberator. Getting 7 kills here in total, but also, you know, forcing a lot of lost mining time. And this is just an absolute nuisance. So I guess making a spore crawler is a good idea. On paper, you don't really need it if your queens are like in the perfect position, but yeah. We did, by the way, see that Overlord speed upgrade, the Nemetized Carapace. So that does mean that the Zerg player here can figure out exactly what's going on quite easily. So you can see, well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe you cannot wall this. I think you can. I think you can wall it with like 2 depots and then a command center, but maybe the positioning was just a little bit off. But most of the time, this is going to be a map that will likely progress in what I would consider to be like standard macro. Now, the funny thing is, most of the pro gamers actually prefer playing these kinds of maps. I'm pretty sure if you were to ask the pro gamers, they would still be playing like Metalopolis and Daybreak and like, you know, what were the standard macro, the standard macro maps back in like, you know, the early days of StarCraft 2 in like 2011, 2012. Pro gamers, generally speaking, in my experience, don't really enjoy playing the crazy maps because StarCraft 2, it's hard enough as it is, you know? Like, StarCraft 2 is not an easy game. And being forced to change your strategies on every single map for every single matchup against every single opponent, it's difficult. It makes the game harder. But I guess on paper, right, it means that the better players should prevail. The ones that practice harder, the ones that actually put in more effort, the ones that know how to respond everywhere are the ones that should get, you know, out on top. Anyways, most of the pro gamers, though, at least the ones that I know, unless you're talking maybe about Haas or something like that, right? They prefer playing on the... wow, this is just barely out of range as well. But they prefer playing on, like... most of the pro gamers, that is. They prefer playing on the more macro-focused maps. And this is one of them. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be a map that we will see quite a bit going into the future as well. Now, it is much smaller, okay? So maps in Legacy of the Void, actually, have been progressively getting smaller. Back in the early days of StarCraft, the maps were tiny. So I think of like a Steps of War. That map was so small, it was ridiculous. It was supposed to like promote build order variety, but what it really meant, like, here's the thing. If you're unfamiliar, Steps of War was so small that if you would scout your opponent from moving out in their natural, you could not finish Zerglings by the time that they were in your natural. That was how small that map was. You literally could not produce any units in time whatsoever, and it really just turned out to be a terrible map. As players got better, especially. Ooh, nice targeting there. Ooh, man, Clem, that was really beautiful. And this is gonna be a meat grinder over here, dude. Look at this, minced Zergling. Put it on the barbecue, man. Oh my god, these Marines are getting insane value. Well, with Stimpack wearing off, he decided to get out of here, but this is actually hurting a lot. Clem showcasing some beautiful control. Gonna be able to shut down that Spore Crawler over there, too. Is he gonna get out? Of course he will get out. Nicely done. What was I saying? Right, so for a while, during like Heart of the Swarm and stuff, we really did see the maps get really big. And progressively over time, like the amount of tiles that are playable on every map has been going, like, it has been going down. So maps have been getting progressively smaller. And this is certainly one in that trend as well. So this feels a lot closer to, say, like a Cyber Forest. Some of you may recall Cyber Forest. That was a map that was around, well, for like 2 years, it felt like. That was a map that was around for a really long time. And I gotta say, I like it. Like, as a Zerg player at heart, obviously the larger maps usually work a little bit better for Zerg. But, yeah, no, I do like the variety. I mean, it gets a little bit tiresome as well if you play the same maps every single time. And you just, like, you know, have like a similar sized map every single time as well. This creates some really cool diversity. Anyways, it's gonna be a Muta Ling Bane army, it looks like, here for Zerg. Already one Thor is available, though, so Clem should be okay. He starts up a couple of missile turrets, it looks like, right now. He secured the 4th base over here as well. This one is gonna be a planetary fortress. Widow mines are spread everywhere, so I think that he's gonna be in a beautiful position here as we progress onwards in this game. Now, this is a scary push coming up. He did finish +2/+2 just now, but so did Zerg. He's immediately going into 3-3, which indicates to me that he's likely not planning on closing out the game with this push, but if he gets some good shots with that Thor on the Mutas, that can end the game really quickly. Now, Mutas, in the meantime, though, are going in for what seems to be a counterattack. So, Zerg units are setting up for defense at home. Looks like a couple of the units have already been blown up. Widow Mines did get triggered already, so that does mean that it's a little bit easier for Zerg to engage, but this is still super scary. Another Thor did end up spawning. That one will get magic boxed to death. So at least not too much damage being done over here. Looks like this Medivac will indeed get shot out of the sky as well. Here's the thing though, I don't actually mind Clem going back whatsoever. The downside of playing Muta Ling Bane is that you usually can't get your 3-3 upgrades going. Now this is huge. Looks like we had some nice Widow Mine connections inside of the main base. But since Terran can go into 3-3 upgrades without like having to get an additional tech structure, right? They already got the armory for 2-2. They can go straight into 3-3. Zerg has to go up towards a hive first. So within about a minute or so, once these 3-3 upgrades finish, Clem is going to be 2 entire upgrades ahead on fast attacking units that are called Marines. I mean, it's really going to benefit him a lot. It's going to be, it's going to make those engagements significantly better. Looks like Reynor is feeling like he's a little bit, I guess, a little bit stunted here as far as like his progression goes. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to decide to go up to like a hive in just a little bit, but he's certainly looking to defend against the imminent push here before he does so, right? So he's got a lot of banelings over here. Maybe he's planning on rolling towards that third base. Gotta say though, the progression here of Clem is amazing, right? He's been, yeah, he's been the one in charge. He's been the one in the driver's seat for quite some time. Are the banelings gonna open the door for the Mutalisk? What is this? Ooh, beautiful move actually. He knew that the Widow Mine was there. Here we go. The banelings, they are hunting for the SCV line. One of the siege tanks already got picked off. Thor coming in from the left-hand side, though. Looks like the command center actually is going to be the one that will be target fired down. So, nicely done there by Reynor. Getting the most out of that engagement, despite it being countered pretty heavily. I always wonder, though, if that's worth it at this point in the game. Like, Terran has got so much money. He's already got a new command center ready to, like, replace the old one. I mean, it's not ideal, obviously, but that was a lot of banelings going down for it as well. And speaking of a lot of banelings going down, I think we'll see quite a few blow up once again. This time around on the SCVs instead. That's 17 workers, 19 workers with the Mutas now also going back in over at this CC before the missile turret's finished. At the same time, Clem right now is moving through the center of the map. There's quite a few banelings set up, but the creep spread is really not that far. Would love to see a scan over here so he can clean up some more of those tumors. A lot of Widow Mines being set up here as well, though, and Clem decides to try and see if he can get out of here instead. Backs off for now. That was a very high-level move, actually. I think a lot of Terran players would have decided to stick around there, but he decided, you know what, I'm not even going to risk it. I should be able to stabilize from here. And this is what Reynor does, man. Like, his Zergling control and his run-bys are super scary. Clem definitely was at a significant advantage just now. At this point, though, I'm not entirely sure. Oh, God, this is gonna be a big one. Oh, 27 kills. Yeah, at this point, he's not looking that amazing here, right? I mean, he's made the best of it, but, I mean, yeah, I think a lot of Zerg players would have already lost here, but he's not looking that solid, only just now going up towards the hive, whereas Terran is already going up towards that, like, tier 3 transition. Looks like the planetary here in the top section of the map finally falls as well, but, I mean, once again, that one can be replaced quite smoothly. So Terran is already improving their unit composition towards a more mech-based army, whereas Zerg is still sitting around on Muta Ling Bane. He's going up towards hive, so maybe he can add on like Ultralisk here in just a little bit, which I think would be a pretty good choice. But already, I mean, the counter is there with the Liberators, right? Those Liberators are going to be phenomenal. Tons of Banelings are coming up. Beautiful splits once again, Clem. Making sure he doesn't take too much damage. Oh, well, here comes the Swarm once more. Is he going to be able to hold on as well? Look at the pre-splits, though. Oh my god, Clem shuts down the Swarm super easily. One Thor actually moving in through the center as well. Say goodbye, Thor. It's not going to happen, but he slowly but surely does move down with this main Terran army, and he kills the base in the center. In the meantime, though, the base over here in the bottom right-hand corner was spotted. That one now has 31 drones mining from it in just a little bit. Apparently, though, Clem is not done yet. He wants to try and see if he can maybe get this command center, or not a command center, this hatchery right over here as well. Those Liberators not very good in air-to-air, but they really are good at forcing these Zerg units back. Once again, Mutas on the other side of the map get absolutely shut down. Only a handful of Marauders shooting away at the hatch. Looks like this one also falls. And once again, a very successful assault there for Clem. Reynor is going to be forced to mine this. Oh my god. Ugh. A Widow Mine over here as well. I don't even know how this one got here. Insane multitasking here from the young Frenchman. But yeah, he's going to be forced to mine from a lot of these bases with way more drones than he can actually properly support. Look at the actions per minute so far. I think as time goes by, we'll see the Terran player catch up when it comes to that average action per minute. Just because Terrans get much faster as time goes by, especially in the late game, especially when playing bio. They have to play so very quickly. All right, so the janitor crew apparently of Clem has moved forward and cleaned up most of the creep. The entire creep spread, one of the other things that Clem is very well known for, has been cleared out. Reynor's now also switching towards Corruptors, probably trying to see if he can shut those Liberators out of the sky and then, you know, maybe switch towards Ultras in a little bit. But at this point, since Reynor's economy has really been halted to a trickle, he really has to be careful. He can't really do his famous Ling Bane run-bys anymore. Good pickup there by Clem. Clem is just making a huge bank right now, right? He's getting a massive bank, just trying to defend all of the different bases, and he's adding on additional command centers. In just a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to take every single command center on his side of the map. There's one Zergling right over here in the center one. So that one is burrowed underneath those stones. Is that the main hatch? No. Or the main CC? It wasn't. Apparently it was just flown over there. He's feeling brave enough, apparently, to be this far out onto the map, despite having orbital commands at home. That's when you know you're in control as a Terran player. Yeah, Reynor actually being forced back right now. He still has a couple of Mutas flying in the top section of the map, but I don't really see these achieving all too much anymore either. Clem does need to be careful though. If this army ends up getting surrounded and he loses it, it does take him a little bit of time before he can actually reproduce it. But obviously this is a small section of his unit composition. Instead, I guess these guys are now pretending to be the planetary. Can't complain. Here we go though. Zerg finally decides to pull the trigger, and they should be able to now clean up most of these Terran units. I think that that Clem decided to overstay his welcome there for a little bit, because these Liberators, they are not cheap, man. Wow, that one actually just disappeared. You see that? Bottom right-hand corner right now gets scouted. So Clem knows what his next attack is going to be, right? He has a planetary very close to it. So this is going to create a beautiful anchor for him to move back into if he needs to. In the meantime, though, since Reynor knows that the Terran is aware of the base in the bottom right-hand corner, he's making a move towards what seems to be the top section of the map instead. Also, simultaneously pushing back this base. Now, is he going to go after the planetary fortress? I think he might. A couple of the ghosts are being pushed in as well. At the same time, he's also rolling in the Banes right here in the top corner of the map, or the top section of the map, rather. Look at them. Oh, there we go. The SCVs will get picked off. That's tons of workers going down, and 2 bases in total here as well. That's huge. Looks like one of the Thors may very well get picked off too. Reynor seems to be pulling a rabbit out of a hat. He was dead in the water just about a minute or so ago, but right now he killed 24 SCVs, bringing down Clem to only 46 workers. That's really not that much. Now this base though, it's still going to be so difficult to hold on, and he needs it. If he loses this base, that's basically his lifeline right now. Once again, Widowmine's getting some good detonations, but he needs to get this base stabilized. Since there's no creep over here, it's very difficult to do so, and this actually hurts as well. A couple of banelings get picked off for free. Still though, he's got a lot of units. There's Widow Mines everywhere though. Those Widow Mines are going to be absolute key. Okay, one Widow Mine detonates right there on the Corruptors, but a lot of them do also connect with the Zerglings. Ooh, a couple of ghosts screaming very loudly apparently. More links are coming up. He needs banelings, man, but he needs time to morph into banelings. So you can actually see right now, Reynor accidentally not injecting his hatcheries. It feels like he's falling apart here a little bit as he's got 1,200 minerals in the bank. No miss micro or miss macro here whatsoever from Clem. Still brilliantly spending his money. He knows that the drones are burrowed, and he kills 16 of them. And with that, this base too. Now, killing this base is so big. I'm quite surprised, though, that Clem hasn't made a move right here for the expansion in the center. Feels like that one is basically a given, right? Hatchery in the center, though, was reacquired as well for Reynor, so he's going to be able to stay around in this game for at least a little while longer. Oh, gotta be careful, man. Those Widow Mines. I really wish there was like a counter on how much these Widow Mines have killed. It's a lot. They have gotten some beautiful, beautiful detonations. Right now, though, it's gonna be the janitor crew right here of Reynor cleaning up some of those Widow mines. Oh my god! Not cleaning up all of them, though. That's so much damage. Liberators, move forward. You can see that this style that Reynor likes to play, it's just not as effective on a smaller map, right? Like, I don't know, like maybe on a map like this, you want to focus more on like Hydra, Lurker, Viper or something like that. Banelings, though, in the meantime, once again, hunting for SCVs, because of course they are. This is Reynor we're talking about, but it seems like he's losing a hatchery in the meantime at home. 10 SCVs here. Despite being very low on army, he still managed to do a beautiful run by there. Those are the comeback maneuvers, though, that Zerg can make, right? If you blow up an entire mineral line, all of a sudden you may very well force the Terran down a path that they don't really want. But at this point, I'm looking at the supply counts, and I think that Clem is looking very, very nice here. He's got a lot of mining bases. He doesn't have a lot of workers, but that means his army supply is massive. We now see 151 army supply versus 84. That's huge. And you can see right here, the APM is indeed catching up. Ghosts added into the mix. I love the fact that there's Liberators in the air as well, so Ultras just simply aren't an option. Brute Lords also not an option, as they will get sniped down. Clem is countering an army that's not even happening yet, right? And he's not doing so with like too much commitment. Now here we go, Reynor making a final stand, but I mean, that was pathetic. That final stand did absolutely nothing. Clem slowly but surely moves forward. Doesn't want to take any risks. He's now sniping the Corruptors out of the sky as well. Ooh. Yeah, G is cold. Just a single G. Accidentally not typing the GG. But Clem, it felt like he was in control from start to finish. And that does mean that he obtains the victory. I wonder if it's maybe better for Zergs, like I was trying to say here, to go for like a lurker-based army, right? Because in all of those smaller maps, generally speaking, it's siege units that are really, really good, right? Since you can't really go for like the Ling Bane style, and you can't really like roll in Banelings in as many locations. Like Terran is not spread nearly as thin on this map as they are, for example, on like Golden Wall, right? Where they have to like take bases everywhere. Generally speaking, it feels like these maps would probably be more suited to like a Hydra Lurker based army. But I guess that's just not really the style that Reynor likes to play all too much. I guess we'll see what happens, as this map is going to be around for a couple more months. Really curious to see, though, how these maps progress, and especially how they will get used in tournaments. Because what you got to keep in mind right now, right, is that we have Zen, we have Purity and Industry, and we have Golden Wall. And I would categorize those three maps as the strange maps. Now, in total, there are 7 ladder maps and 7 tournament maps. The tournament maps and the ladder maps are the same. Obviously, if it's a best of 3, I can imagine that a lot of players will end up vetoing Golden Wall, Purity and Industry, and Zen. But I mean, if you're playing a best of 5, you can only veto 2 of those. And if you're playing a best of 7, basically every tournament grand finals in StarCraft 2 is a best of 7. I really feel like those maps are really going to spice up the meta. I guess we'll see as time goes by. But let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. What do you think of the new maps now that you've seen games on all 3 of them? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Let me know down below. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you very much for your generosity. But have an amazing day. Don't forget to smile. And I'll see you once again in the next one.